Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. How's
It's
everything?
good. Pretty good. Well, tonight we're joined by a special guest, Jason Sumner, a current college classmate of mine, and also Savon, the only reason I passed history of England, so I had to add that in there too. Thanks for being on.
No problem. No problem. Hey, you passed that class on your own merit.
On my own. I'll take that. Well, we have to start it off tonight. Before we get to the Patriots, the Josh Gordon announced that he was going to step away from the league because of mental health issues, and he had the same type of there was a substance abuse issues with Cleveland, and then past years as well, and he added a different dimension to the Patriots, and now that he's gone, there's obviously a gaping hole with New England in terms of talent at the receiver position, but also now it's almost the same situation it's been in the last 3 to 4 years with him having a ton of opportunities, but kind of blowing it and not being able to take advantage of it, which I think the Patriots were aware of. But now, Savon, what are your thoughts on him leaving out in the manner which he did, and also possibly his career being over?
Well, he's definitely suspended, so his career is probably most definitely over.
Yeah.
But just highlight what mental health really is more than football, is more than sports. And I wish him the best in his recovery, because he has had multiple opportunities to be successful in the NFL, especially coming out of Baylor, highly sought out of Baylor, because he has all the tangibles in wide receivers: big, strong, big guy, fast, run 4.45.
Yeah.
He has all the attributes you want in a wide receiver, but the mental aspect of things, it does play a major role, and we're seeing that for the past 4 or 5 years he's been in the league. But just to go back, you saying that it's a gaping hole for the Patriots, which is this. Gronkowski's hurt again. Chris Hogan hasn't been 7-11, his former name when he's with the Miami Dolphins. He hasn't been efficient enough. Edelman, the only silver lining would be Julian Edelman doing what he does best for Tom Brady. But yeah, he's going to be truly missed on that wide receiver core.
Yeah, and Jason, it's interesting because there's always been this issue because he's been considered like a problem for a lot of his past seasons, and now with New England, a team that's built with a lot of consistency and a lot of structure, it's still not able to play out in him being in a postseason. What are your thoughts on him still with a top of the line organization not being able to close out the season with them because of off the field issues?
Well, I think no matter what team it is, even one like the Patriots, which is one of the top teams in the league and always has been for a long time, they're going to have problems, and it always comes down to the individual, whether he's going to step up and take care of his problems. Because I think the Patriots do a great job, like, with their professionalism and keeping their guys.
They're like the Spurs of the NFL. They're like the Spurs of the NFL.
Right, yeah, exactly. So they do a really good job with that. But, you're going to have those guys where no matter what you do for them, they're still going to have those troubles. So.
Yeah. And in dealing with the Patriots now, they've looked about as vulnerable as they've looked in the past, decade. They lost to Pittsburgh 17-10, and now fall to the number 3 seed, 9-5, right behind Houston at the who's the 2 seed now. And they had a ton of mental lapses against Miami. Then the same with Pittsburgh, and on that 2nd and 16 midway through the fourth quarter where Brady tries to throw it out of bounds, and then Joe Hayden intercepts it. Jason, how much of a concern do you think there is for New England? Because a lot of times it's easy to write them off, but it's usually naive to. But now it seems like, though, there are some serious issues with Brady in terms of him trying to evade pressure that's really not even there. And I think the hits are kind of accumulating. And also Edelman, Hogan, and White had a ton of drops, and also the team accumulated a ton of penalties as well.
Yeah, at this point in the season, there's a lot of fatigue that they're going through mentally too.
Yeah.
And I know their confidence has got to be shaken, losing last year and then having a rough season this year. Their mental game isn't where it needs to be. I don't know what they need to do to just kind of readjust and get it there. But if anyone can do it, it's going to be Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if they can, close it out and get into the playoffs and make a run of it. But
yeah,
it's gonna. I mean,
they're gonna get in the postseason.
Around.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Savon, it's interesting because their run defense particularly has been gashed for like 2 straight weeks. Brandon Bolden, Miami's running back, I think backup running back, had 2 carries for 60 yards, and then Jalen Samuels had 19 carries for 142 yards, and he's the third string back behind Connor. And these are things that you typically wouldn't see, especially with them struggling with backup running backs. But what has been like the most gaping liability you've seen so far?
Just listening to that, I don't see. I know it's a lot of red flags, but I think they're fine. I think they're fine. You lose to Tennessee, which is a pretty good team. They're still in the hunt to get into the AFC Wild Card. Then
there's that thing though that there's that thing in the back of your mind, like this is the Patriots, like they're gonna figure it out.
And the teams they lost to, it was on a play that nobody thought was going to happen with Kenyon Drake winning against losing to Miami, and then you lose to a good team in the Pittsburgh Steelers 17-10. It wasn't a blowout. Yeah, they had mistakes, they had a lot of follies, but I think they're still intact to be a contender for the Super Bowl. At the end of the day, like I said, it's Tom Brady, it's Julian Edelman. They've been in this predicament before.
Even compared to the Chiefs and Chargers, you still like them compared to those teams?
Yes, because they beat Kansas. They have beaten Kansas City. They beat Minnesota. They beat Indianapolis. They beat Jacksonville in Houston. They beat all these teams before.
They lost to Jacksonville earlier in the season.
They lost to Jacksonville, but I don't think they'll lose it to him. That was early in the season.
Bordeaux actually looked really good.
Yeah, now he's not even playing. See, that whole entire ordeal just blew my mind why they gave him an extension, but that's another story. But these guys have beaten big teams and stepped up with big teams. Now, you lose to Steelers. That's always missed, but I think those guys are fine. I think they win out. They definitely beat Buffalo. They definitely beat New York Jets. They wait a little bit. They, win out in the wild card, and they go to the next level. These guys are fine. It's going to happen. Like he said, it's a lot of fatigue, a lot of things going on in the organization, still dealing with Tom Brady's offseason stuff, but they're fine. I don't think you can just look like, oh, guys, they're not going to do good in the playoffs. I don't think you can do that. But
and I know I'm kind of skipping. I'm kind of skipping to a topic, but let's say they are in a wild card situation and they have to face the likes of maybe a Indianapolis or Baltimore. The Colts, they're 7-1 in their last 8, and Luck's been phenomenal. The connection with T.Y. Hilton, a great deep ball threat, is back, and Marlon Mack had a great performance against Dallas. And also, I mean, the Ravens have an extremely stingy defense, and Jackson's been they've been playing pretty well. Out of those 2 teams, Jason, or maybe another team, which one do you think would give them like the greatest scare in a wild card game, which they haven't played in like the last 9 years?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah. If you had to choose,
I would go with the Colts. I would go with the Colts because their offense is so well constructed now, and we're also seeing that the defense is able to step up and actually. I know, because it's crazy to say, because the Patriots have owned the Colts over the last several years, but I do think this is a team that can give them a pretty seismic threat.
But they do have to win out.
Yeah,
they do have to win out. They have to play New York Giants, who has a hot streak. I know OBJ is out, but they've been playing good. Saquon Barkley's been playing really, really well. Then you have Tennessee at the end. Those guys are trying to get into the playoffs too. So they have to win out they're alive, but they have to win out. And I think that's no small feat playing with both of those teams. Now, going to playing back-to-back guys, been in the playoffs for how many odd years? You go against Tom Brady, TB12? You go against Tom Brady, Wellington?
I didn't say that. No, what I was saying was I'd still pick New England to win. I just think if I had to pick like who's the most dangerous out of that bunch, I would pick Indianapolis. I definitely still pick New England.
Wait, so are we saying the people that are in the hunt or the people
that
are
in the hunt? In the hunt. Yeah, I'm talking about like Indianapolis, Baltimore, Tennessee. Yeah. I wasn't just saying Indianapolis and Baltimore. There's another team,
Oh, okay. So I was about to say, hello, it's Baltimore, Patriots, Chargers, and the Steelers in it. I was like, I don't know which one you're talking about, but I definitely say Tennessee because their guys are hungry. Derrick Henry is finally turning it on at the tail end of the season. You should have did this early in the season, but they still have an opportunity to go to the AFC Wild Card, and I like those guys. Those are the guys the most dangerous.
And that's the thing. The Chargers are still in that bunch too. They're definitely the most dangerous out of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've been really good.
Most underrated quarterback in the NFL.
Phillip Rivers.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, I think this is his year. This is his year. If he's going to win it, this is it.
But they do have some injuries.
Could we see a Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees Super Bowl?
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would like that. That's a good matchup, especially how they matched up well against Kansas City Chiefs. I like that.
Yeah. Transitioning to the Rams, they lost their second straight game, and Goff, he was under constant pressure, and this is, their passing game has been unstoppable for most of the season, and now with Chicago and Philadelphia, two defenses that have a very deep front four, and Goff is having to resort to off target throws, and the pass protection unit has been off. I think they're third worst in pass blocking efficiency over the last 2 weeks, and so that's a very significant drop off from where they were in the beginning of the year. But Savon, how much, like, what have you seen, like what's been like the revelation for you with how they struggle with the Bears and also with Philadelphia at home?
I think you hit it. You said it right before the question. Offensive line has been struggling the last 4 or 5 games, and you look at the injuries they have on the offensive side. When they lost Cooper Kupp, that guy was big. He was big for the first 6-7 games before he got injured. He was the deep ball threat and the slot receiver, which opened up a lot for Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods. And then Mike Thomas goes down. Now Todd Gurley is injured. Justin Davis, the backup, is injured. But the defensive secondary, we've seen them have struggles since the first game, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on and so on. We thought this secondary would be great, adding Talib, adding Marcus Peters, but they have a lot of holes in their defense, running a lot of cover two. And it's kind of strange for them to be struggling because their front seven is one of the best front sevens in the league, led by Aaron Donald, Adama Sue, just to name a few. But it's kind of, you would think that they would be more successful in the passing, but that's why I've seen the secondary has been the biggest. The offense is going to struggle a little bit, but they're still putting up points. But the secondary is letting them down. The defense is letting them down. Not the front seven, but the secondary. Yeah,
and Jason, when they got off to this really good start and really solid start, did you foresee that maybe later down the season defenses would start to adjust and be able to kind of figure out what their style is and how to kind of shut down, try to put Goff under constant duress and make life more difficult for him?
Oh, absolutely. You got to expect that to happen.
Yeah.
These teams, they're all professionals. They're going to figure that stuff out. They're not just going to let him sit back and do whatever he wants. So yeah, I think that was pretty clear from the start, and I think they're just now kind of starting to feel that pressure.
Yeah, and so in terms of the top tier, like Savon, the Saints, to me, in terms their offense hasn't been as potent, but the defense is still being able to keep them in games, and I think they're first in takeaways and first in sacks as well. If that's their calling card, I do expect the offense to regain rhythm, but if that's their calling card, I definitely see New Orleans. Now, home field advantage is important for them, but I definitely see them as still a front runner in the NFC.
Almost definitely. If you look at the team they have when they won the Super Bowl, their defense was so stout that year, led by Jonathan Vilma. It started with the defense and it trickled down to the offense. So we now, at the first beginning of the season, we saw the defense struggle. Then they added a couple pieces. They got some trades. They got Eli Apple, who's starting to pan out to be a good pickup in that trade deadline. Now the defense is playing. Now you look at the offense. What happened to the offense? I think people are starting playing them different. They're starting to stack the box against Alvin and Kamara. They're starting to run on more like a cover 2 man and letting them beat, because Thomas is not a deep ball threat. He's a possession receiver. He's a good route runner, but if you put a safety over top of him and get a good cornerback to man him up, jam him at the line, he's non-existent. And we've seen that for the last couple games. They haven't been efficient on the offense. But Alvin Kamara has been prolific the entire season. He's that guy. He's the guy. But if their defense continue to play, and they're number one at defense, number rushing defense, they don't allow 78 yards, led by Cameron Jordan. If they continue to do that, then they have the formula to win, just like they did when they won the rainbow after Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, and another team that just clinched the NFC North, Chicago. They have I know that's Jason. If you don't know, Savon is a diehard Packers fan, and this has been an extremely tough 2 years.
Season. Yeah.
The craziest thing about this entire thing, this is one of Aaron Rodgers' best seasons.
Yeah, and but the the Bears, their defense has been amazing, and Mitch, with Matt Nagy bringing in a new offense and Mitch Trubisky being pretty good. Jason, their defense is top of the line, but how much do you? My hesitation in terms of buying this team is Trubisky, because he can have a 20 of 28, 234 yards, 2 touchdown type of performance against Green Bay, but at other times he can kind of look inept and not that good. Is that a team you're fully buying, or do you still have some hesitation about the offense?
Oh, there's definitely some hesitation. I mean, you can't
fully buy in.
Right. There's a difference between being, oh wow, this guy's like, this is really on a roll, and then there's like the elite teams, and I don't think that they're quite into that elite.
Even with the defense.
Even with the defense, I don't think they're quite there.
Savon is a defensive guru, so this is a big statement.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I like what the Bears are getting back to the defensive mind that they have for many, many years when they won all the Super Bowls with Mike Ditka. But then you get Roquan Smith, you add him, you add Danny Trevathan 3-4 years ago. He's been in the Super Bowl. He's been on a great defense before with the Broncos. Then go get Khalil Mack. Go get Mack Dog. Go get him. He's a go-getter. Go get Mack Dog. You add and Akeem Hicks. Oh my gosh. The guy is phenomenal. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm talking like this. But no, I like their defense. Their defense wins championships.
I would agree with that, but I just think that the Trubisky is hit or miss, and that's the reason I just like Jason said, I can't fully buy in yet.
Yeah, it's the consistency.
Yeah,
he's Wellington's right on that. The consistent guys are the elite guys. And you got to have both. You can't just have a defense. Okay, do you remember when the Broncos went to playoffs?
Yes.
And all the way into the Super Bowl, and they got rolled by the Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
They had the offense. They didn't have the defense. And it goes both ways. You got to have both. If you don't have both, I just don't. You have to have consistency.
And then a couple years later, Von Miller's the Super Bowl MVP because they have a stout defense.
Yeah.
Okay, see, and here comes Savon. It's all about the defense.
I agree with that, but I still think Trubisky, they do enough for him, but he doesn't have to be fully consistent because this is his second year.
Right.
First full year being a starting quarterback. Last year he had to get it from I think the 4th or 5th game, so he wasn't had a full season under his belt. Now he's continuing to grow as a quarterback. He still has a long way to go, but I think he does enough for them to win. Obviously, they're 9-4, 10-4, and they continue to rest on that defense. The offense is going to come. The offense is picking up. I like Tariq Cohen. He's being
he's like Tyreek Hill level.
Yeah,
most explosive
out the backfield. He's like a James White for the Patriots. So I understand that he does have a long way to go, but if the defense still plays, they're going to give him opportunities to get in a groove what they've been doing, I think they won't win the Super Bowl, but they'll get close.
Yeah. So Chicago is our NFC dark horse, and you guys would agree that the Chargers, especially with what they've been doing, are the kind of the AFC dark horse.
The dark horse, you know what? I wouldn't even give it to the Cowboys.
The Chargers.
Sorry, the Bears. I want to give it to the Bears.
Who would you? The Seahawks?
I would give it to Minnesota.
Oh yeah, their offense is picking up. Their offense is picking up.
Change them also
because they changed John to Filippo.
Yeah, and I think Dalvin Cook is getting back.
They were a team originally I felt as though was going to go to the Super Bowl before the season because of how good their defense was, and then adding Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but they have a lot of injuries on defense too. Adding Kirk, then getting Dalvin back. Dalvin's finally getting into the groove. The running game is starting to work more. Get rid of offensive coordinator. Give him open to the playbook a little bit. But I definitely think they're the dark horse just because of the amount of talent they have with Thielen and Wellington. Where are you, man?
Stephon Diggs, of course.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs. Sorry, I definitely think they're the dark horse.
Yeah,
I want to give it to the Bears because I think the Bears are considered a Super Bowl contender just because of their defense. But given the amount of catching up the Minnesota Vikings had to do, I think to be in the NFC Wild Card is still no small.
So, Jason, is that your NFC dark horse too?
No, I'm gonna stick with Dallas.
Dallas, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Dallas?
I think they. I'm not a Dallas man, but I think they've been snubbed too many years these past couple years, and I think
this is true.
I think they've really got a chip on their shoulder that's dangerous. That's dangerous going into playoffs.
Yeah. And with the AFC, I mean, like we were talking about the Chargers earlier. This is a team that's putting it together at the right time, and especially the season Mike Williams is having and what Phillip Rivers is doing. Compared to Kansas City and let's say Houston, like would you guys still put Kansas City at the top of the conference in terms of what you guys see out of San Diego?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Just given the amount of talent, the quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes.
Even with the defense having like significant struggles.
Yes, even with if they could, I don't think any team can go to shootout with them. Well, Patriots did it. But consistently going through a shootout, they put up over 30 points a game. They still have the most high-powered offense in the NFL, both sides, AFC and NFC. So you have to put them at the top. They don't have any injuries. They lost Kareem Hunt because of this off-field stuff going on, but they have not been injured. And you add another big target in Kelvin Benjamin, who had a couple catches against the Chargers. They're still healthy. You got to put them up there.
Yeah,
especially healthy.
I'd agree. Yep, I think that's pretty.
Their ceiling offensively is the highest out of any team in the conference.
And I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And before we go to our last topic with Nick Foles, I mean Mahomes, Aaron Donald, Breeze, Rivers, they're all in that MVP conversation. Jason, who would you give the edge to? Because I mean, Breeze, he's arguably had his most efficient season, but Mahomes, he's been, really the difference maker for Kansas City, just being lights out for most of the year.
I agree because that Kansas City has is stronger overall.
Yeah,
but with Drew Brees, I mean, he's carrying that team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go with most valuable player, Drew Brees.
Yeah. Would you go? Would you say the same?
No. I want.
Oh, okay.
I want to go.
You're gonna go Aaron Donald, right?
How do you read me? Come on, man. We've been doing this for a while now.
I knew this.
I'm gonna go with Aaron Donald because no defensive tackle has ever won MVP, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Wide receivers need to win it too. But Aaron Donald, 16 and a half sacks. He's an impact player. He makes things tough for offensive line, for a quarterback. Give him he already got paid. He got the big money. Now give him an MVP. Stop playing with Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Breeze. I'm gonna go with Breeze. And like Jason said, he's been carrying this team, and
yeah,
you don't want to make the MVP like a lifetime achievement award, but if there's any player that kind of deserves that, it's Breeze, and it's so tough to go against Mahomes, but I think Breeze gets the edge for this year.
See, I was just about to say that even with the season Patrick Mahomes has been having, you're gonna go.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Don't make me reconsider.
I love Drew Brees as a player and as a person off the field. He's been most consistent than any quarterback besides, Tom Brady. Right. He's been consistent. He just haven't had the weapons or the defense around him to be successful and go further into the playoffs. I think now he has that. He has the weapons on offense now. But it's so close. We're just talking about quarterback.
I know it's crazy to go against Mahomes with the season he's had.
Especially, he's breaking records. His second year. It's
like me with the Raptors. I want to pick them for the finals, but I just can't do it. I just can't go there.
Okay. Well,
I can't pick them either for the finals. I don't know. Just given the history, even with we'll probably get to that. I don't want to get too forward.
But our last topic for the NFL, transitioning to Nick Foles. He had 24 completions on 31 attempts with 240 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. And I mean, early on, he had a rhythm. I mean, spearheaded 3 scoring drives, and I think they've got a 24% chance to make the playoffs now. They've got Houston and Washington for their last 2 games. But Jason, you felt as though Dallas is the dark horse in the NFC. So I'm assuming you don't think they can pull this out to make a postseason run.
Go up.
Yeah.
I can't bet against them.
Yeah.
And it's not anything to do with stats or playing. It's just a
yeah. And it's with Philly, Savon, their defense has kind of been, it's kind of gained like momentum for the last few weeks. And Foles, like him, it's almost like a snapshot from last year where he came in the game against LA when Wentz went out, and now like he came back and was able to like win the game for them. But what has kind of been, is it more of the defense with the front four and kind of how they dominated that game to you that kind of stood out more?
Yeah, just they have so many injuries on both sides. Obviously, the biggest one with Carson Wentz. On the other side is Fletcher Cox and Timmy Jernigan. But I definitely think it starts with the defense because the offense have lost your starting running back early on. You lost your backup running back. Then Alshon Jeffrey has been injured throughout the year. There's just a lot of variables that goes into them not being as successful as they were previous winning the Super Bowl. But just to get into the fact that can they make it to the playoffs? I think not with Nick Foles. Not because he's not a good quarterback, because they have a lot on their plate. You have 2 teams that you haven't beat. A Houston Texans team that's 10-4 and was on a hot streak. I don't think anybody on the defense can hold DeAndre Hopkins, let alone Demaryius Thomas. And then you look at the Redskins. Everybody's thinking the Philadelphia Eagles going to beat the Redskins. I think not. They got blown. Well, 30-13 is a pretty big margin to say blown out. But they're still playing. I know they don't have their starting quarterback in Alex Smith, and it's a different stuff like that. But it's going to be extremely hard to beat a rival team when you need it the most. So the defense is playing good, but they have too many nagging injuries for them to be successful. Nick Foles can do it. He won the Super Bowl for them. He ended. What's the pitcher when he comes in at the end? He's the closer. The closer. He closed for them. Thank you. He closed for them. Won them the Super Bowl. He started a couple games in the first season. Carson Wentz coming back. They're doing terrible. So it's not because he's not a good quarterback. It's just too much on their table to make them be successful.
Yeah, like kind of like a too little, too late scenario where they're gaining rhythm, but it's a lot to overcome.
Exactly.
Transitioning to the NBA, Jason's Denver Nuggets. He needs a moment to take this all in. They're 21-9, first in the West, and they're currently on a 4-game winning streak. And they've experienced injuries to key players. I think Will Barton, Millsap, and Gary Harris is out. But this is a team with, Jamal Murray. He's had a breakout season, scored 15 of 19 in the fourth against Toronto, and they've beaten them twice. And Jokic is having an MVP caliber season. But Jason, what has kind of stood out to you the most, especially with Jokic carrying the team with injuries to key players?
Depth. This team is so deep. It doesn't stop. Like you'd think, oh man, who's this guy? But guess what? He can put up 10 and 10 every night if you need him to.
Right.
So really, the Nuggets, and they've been building this for a long time. Mike Malone, he's been fantastic as head coach. I think his defensive mindedness has really helped them.
Yeah.
And like you said, Jamal Murray, man, he's been outstanding, and he's been developing for a long time.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Some of their I would say some of their kind of like non-premium draft picks, like Monty Morris, Torrey Craig, Malik Beasley, they've been really good, especially off the bench. Especially with guys like Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. still out. When those guys come back, do you think it's going to be? How do you see that integration happening, or do you think they just kind of stick with the same bench that they have? They'll integrate Porter back in, but Thomas, I don't see him getting as much with Monte Morris playing so well off the bench.
I don't see him having really any troubles reintegrating. But Isaiah Thomas, he's one of those guys that, he might only be playing 15 minutes a night, but then he'll have that night where he drops, 35, 40 points on whoever they're playing against.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a huge weapon to just have on your bench.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, and what that does to other teams, like they're thinking, man, this team is number one in the West, which number one in the West is really number one in the league. So,
pretty much.
So, like when these teams are going up against them, they're saying, man, these guys are 21-9, and they've got all these injuries. What are we going to do when the rest of their guys come back? So it's kind of like when the Warriors have like an injury, and it's like, oh man, they're still winning, and that's central to that. He's a real anchor to that team, offensively, defensively, and it's really been fun to watch because people didn't see it coming. I did not see this coming. I was not expecting number one
21-9
in the West. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, but
here we are, and Jokic. You say MVP caliber season. He's in the conversation. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he is in the conversation.
Because without Millsap, he's averaging like 20, 25, 11, and 6 assists. So, he's really been anchoring them well. And Savon, there's really not, to me, there hasn't been like a clear number 2 coming in the West so far, but OKC's been really good. And obviously Denver, they're at the top right now. If there's a team that you could see in the conference finals mounting a challenge to Golden State, would it be Denver, or would you say OKC or Jason? He had, before the season when we did our preview, he had Lakers Sixers as his finals. And is this true?
I'm still hopeful in that.
Yeah. So who would you have in maybe in that conference finals against the Warriors, kind of mounting a challenge?
This is. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I thought you guys forgot about me. Let me add.
I'm sorry.
Denver Nuggets. I love their 2-man ball with Plumlee. I don't think he gets enough credit. Him and Murray, the pick and roll with him and Murray in the last 2 games has been phenomenal. It's been real solid. But to contest with the Golden State Warriors right now, I would say Denver Nuggets. I definitely like OKC and the chemistry they're starting to have with Adams, George, and Westbrook. You know what? I think I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go with OKC. I like the basketball they're playing. They have a lot.
I mean, they're the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steven Adams,
43 points. Yeah, Steven Adams playing real good basketball, grinding on the rebounds. I will give it an OKC, but I still have Lakers and 76ers though. Bear with me. It's gonna come. It's gonna be there. I'm not gonna go.
Savon, Jason doesn't even have the Lakers in the postseason.
I could imagine why.
I could. It's funny. They're either not going to make it or they will lose first round. That is what I've got.
I don't know about that.
First round.
They're number 4 though. They're right behind
number 4. I think they at least get to the second round. At least get to the second round.
They're number 4 right now, but I mean, there's 4 teams behind them that are 1 game back from them.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true. But you can never, just like TB12, you cannot count out LeBron James.
You can't. But LeBron.
But this is the West.
Exactly.
Look, the West has been it looks like it's going on a decline. Look at the amount of talent that's on the West, and it's not panning out the way that everybody thought it would. Denver Nuggets is number 1. I know it's still early, but number 1.
So you're saying that's a downgrade with Denver being number 1?
I think so, because looking at the amount of talent that Golden State has, the amount of talent that Oklahoma City has, the amount of talent that the Houston has, San Antonio, and Denver Nuggets is number 1. I think is a decline. Denver Nuggets were good last year, and obviously they're on the decline. But just to say, Golden State's now number 1 with the amount of talent they have is decline.
Yeah, it's been a really tight just season in terms of the West standings. But before we move on, Jason, what would be the ending in terms of their season that would kind of be the most satisfying to you? Would it be like a conference finals or maybe like a top 3 seed in the playoffs?
I think making it to the conference finals would be satisfying, but it would also be bittersweet if they lost, because last time they went to the Western Conference Finals, 2009 against the Lakers, and that was
a 6-game series.
Yeah, man. That I will never ever forget Anthony Carter trying to inbound pass. It was the worst inbound play I have ever seen. In junior high basketball, high school, NBA, worst inbound play I've ever seen. And I want to say that one play.
How optimistic were you going into that conference finals? Did you, like how much of a shot did you think you guys had?
Oh man, there was so much hype. I mean, that was back when Carmelo was like top of his game. Man, yeah. It was a party in Colorado. Let me tell you what. And oh man, I'll never get over it. I never will. It will haunt me to the end of my days, unless Nuggets happen. That's actually my ideal situation: is a Nuggets Lakers Western Conference Finals, and the Nuggets beat the Lakers, and I can just put it behind me. But so I think making it to the Western.
Who do you have in the NBA Finals?
Oh, I had Thunder and Celtics, but the Celtics are.
That's interesting.
Wow. So you're still really high. I mean, obviously OKC is overachieving, and Paul George is at MVP level. But you thought with the departure of Melo and George and Westbrook for their second year, you thought they would kind of take that big ascension, right?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think with the team that they had last year, they just never figured it out. And now that they've had a little bit more time and Carmelo's gone, I just the cohesion has really become apparent. And Westbrook has teammates that will help him out now. Like, he doesn't have to carry that whole team on his back.
He can play more off ball now with Schroeder.
Exactly, and that's a big deal for Westbrook. And that's why I had them for now. I think it's kind of panning out for him so far. We'll see how they do. But they've been playing playing really well.
Yeah. Transitioning to the Rockets, James Harden, he's been, absolutely phenomenal so far. He's leading the league in scoring currently, and he's single-handedly kept their offense, has been keeping their offense at an extremely high level. With Harden on the floor, they're averaging 112.4 points per 100 possessions, and without him, it's only 105. And he's had 6 40-plus point performances in the past 6 weeks. But it's different because Eric Gordon, Chris Paul are not as efficient from the perimeter, Savon, and now this is a team where the defense is, there still are some issues, and I think you would expect Daryl Morey to be aggressive with trying to find some more contributors for in the trade market. But what have been your thoughts on how they've been playing and how Harden's been playing, but also how do you see them kind of compared to how they were last year, which they were a legitimate finals threat?
They're similar to last year on the basis of they have no identity without a step back shot. 3-point shooting is their MO. We saw last year they were hot and consistently hot with Trevor Ariza, Gordon, all those guys, Chris Paul hitting and being like the basis, James Harden going bananas. We saw that hot. Now they're not hot. They don't have Trevor Ariza anymore. They don't have the same team anymore, but they still have the same identity of isolation. Let James Harden shoot. Chris Paul is now injured. So now they're going to go back to the same thing that lost them the finals against the Warriors. 27 consecutive 3-points missed. That's their MO. It's the same exact team. Now Harden has to be on fire consistently for them to be successful. And then you get rid of Carmelo Anthony, try to delegate the situation of you not playing team basketball. You don't play defense. You're terrible on defense of the backcourt. Front court it's no offense made. They do a pick and roll every now and again, but they shoot 3-pointers until they die. And they're dying. Now they're on a 4-game winning streak. Woohoo. Those are the same team.
Yeah, but the thing with Harden, we've seen him have these, just hot streaks, but then he flames out in the postseason. Like the first year with D'Antoni, it happened against San Antonio where they got up to I think a 2-1 start and then lost in 6. I think the last year Kawhi was there, but how do you see the kind of the defensive regression? Because last year they were a top 5 defense, but lost, Mbah Moute and Ariza, and now they're really lacking in that area.
Yeah, no, it's not surprising, that they haven't really added any defenders. They've just been trying to, keep that 3-point game alive. And I mean, if you live by the 3, you're going to die by the 3. And yeah, I don't think they've got. I don't think they're going to have a real good postseason if they make it.
Is this a team to you that's just going to rely on Harden having great offensive performances, and when he doesn't, just like Savon says, they're going to be in a major issue?
And I think Harden like that, and I think he's going to have to realize he's not going to get any help.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one bright spot in the Rockets. Besides, I think this just kind of microcosm of offense that they have is right. I don't think he does. He's just I don't even think they'd touch the playoffs if they didn't have him on that team.
Yeah. And Chris Paul, Savon, he's struggled immensely. And I think that was one of the biggest, staggering their minutes, which, I mean, D'Antoni was like, look, at least once in the game, we're going to have a future Hall of Fame guard on the floor. And now, he had, I think, a hamstring strain against Miami. And he got the max extension, the 4-year, $160 million, but I don't really know if that was a promising contract, because as he gets older, he's obviously going to regress, and we're seeing him not look.
Wait. Are you retracting from Chris Paul?
A little.
All of last year and this year, you were big on Chris Paul. I say he's getting older. He's had nagging injuries since he was the Clippers.
And now all this is coming back in my face.
Yeah, and now you say, "Oh, he's getting older." Yes.
You love this, so just go on with what you're about to say.
No, I mean, if you're number one guy, you just re-sign him, big contract to go with, because he is the calm before the storm for these guys, because they have a lot of hurricanes and thunders and lightning and misses and makes for the 3-point line. He's the guy who's going to try to keep everything together, because they do have some friction sometimes with James Harden and Chris Paul. Now you're not on the court. You went on the court for the biggest moments, and now you go down now. You just had a winning streak going. That winning streak is broken. You left second quarter. So it's injuries are a part of the game, but if he's not on the court, they're not going to be even minor successful without him, because they don't have the same guys to pick up the slack like they had last year when he was gone. Like you said, Mbatu's gone, Trevor Reeves gone, Eric Gordon's not been as efficient as he was last year at the 3-point line. It's a lot of moving parts that are not moving in the right direction. They're going backwards.
Right.
But if they don't have team basketball, they don't run plays. Run the triangle for Pete's sake. Run something instead of step back, travel to New Hampshire and shoot it by the bench.
How is that not called? Like it's gotten to a point where he can just manipulate referees, and that's just baffling. The referees, they have their own official NBA Twitter account, and they said he only took 3, but I saw like maybe 4 or 5. Jason.
He only took 3.
Yeah.
Isn't it 2? Isn't it 2? How the fuck 2 steps?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the how he can manipulate the rules in terms of that, because everybody sees it. But I think against Utah, when Ricky Rubio was guarding him, that was just completely evident what happened, and they even reviewed it, but they still didn't even change the call when it was a foul.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
He really,
I think they don't want to go against, and he's been doing it for so long that if they started calling it now, like, could you imagine what people would say about the referees?
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man, you didn't call it before. Why are you calling it now?
I
think they kind of put themselves in a hard spot.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell them finally and give them a hand clap. Good job, guys. Took you long enough. Because he walked. He really walked like, hey, Rubio, can you come this way with me? That's exactly what he did. He really walked. I guess in real time, it's kind of, you can't, I guess I'm going to give them an excuse to play the devil's
in the moment. Yeah.
In the moment, and bang, bang. You really can't really see it if you're not really looking close. But we saw it because it slowed down. They had a different angle, all this stuff. They're human. But come on, even an alien could saw that from all the way from Mars.
Exactly.
And Pluto. Come on, guys, get it right.
Transitioning to the Lakers, they're currently 4th in the West and are on a 2-game losing streak after losing to Washington and Brooklyn on the road, and they lost out on getting Trevor Ariza. He went to Washington, and they were in aggressive trade talks with them on a 3-team trade, which they couldn't complete. But there's still available, contributors on the market: Wayne Ellington, Damari Carroll, Justin Holiday. Jason, what contributor, or maybe like another shooter, because there were the talks about Carmelo possibly coming, but who would you think that would who do you think would benefit them the most as a role player?
Now, cool like that, but I don't. They need solid guys in there. They've got LeBron. They've got their main scoring elements, but they need solid role players. And I think he'd be just a really good option for them to have.
Yeah. Savon, who would you see as a necessary kind of addition in terms of their role players? Because at the beginning of the season, Josh Hart was like their main consistent perimeter shooter. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's kind of declined, and Kuzma's kind of been a very he's been able to coexist with LeBron. I think Ingram has kind of struggled with that, and which we saw like in his third year there were going to be struggles. But who would you say, Savon, is kind of like a necessary contributor?
From a different team, or?
Yeah, I mean a different team in terms of another role player that they could acquire.
See, that's a difficult question. I hate to say the Denver Nuggets. I like to go Paul Millsap. Would be a good addition to help LeBron out because he's pretty good on defense and he contributes on the rebounds. And then I had another one. I like Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson. He's a good guy. I like him at the point guard position. I know they have Rondo. I don't think Rondo will be there next year. They need somebody to help out Lonzo Ball. I hope he's not a bust, but I'm just gonna. Those are two guys off the top of my head.
I mean, he had a triple-double on Saturday night.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how
you still don't buy Lonzo, Jason?
No, not yet. I mean, how can you? It's too early. And now playing with LeBron, it's like no matter what he does, he's gonna look good. I mean, as long as he doesn't pull off a J.R. Smith,
Oh gosh,
that was something like that. I think. I mean, he's got potential, but I don't think he's only got potential, or if he's actually going to develop into something. Otherwise, I think he might just end up like a Andre Miller type guy that's just
Well, they definitely don't want that.
Exactly, and I mean, I could see that happen to him if his shot doesn't come along and he just. Because that's kind of what Andre Miller, he just hung around the league for forever.
Yeah.
And he was a good passer. Man, he's like one of the top assist leaders in history.
Yeah. Like Eric Snow. He was Eric Snow.
Yeah. A good defensive, an elite defensive point guard, but being a shooter, it was never
he was
never
a
there.
Great passer. He was like, Allen, go long. I'll pass you, buddy. He was definitely he was with the 76ers.
76ers. He always ended up with the 76ers.
76ers Cavaliers. I'm going to add another guy I think can help out LeBron James, and he's right across the street, Patrick Beverly. He's up after this year. That'll be a good addition.
Okay.
I think LeBron James will love him. Defensive mind, he's nasty, tenacious. I think that'll go well. But I don't know if he'll go there, though.
Yeah. Kind of going to the enemy.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure, guys.
Yeah, Wayne Ellington is another one that's available, and he's I think that's who I would go with because I don't think he would help them necessarily defensively, but they do need more floor spacers, and he's a 38% career 3-point shooter, so I think that's something that could help them in. Rudy Gay, he could possibly be another one.
He's getting old though.
Yeah,
I think it's a good option unless they get him for dirt.
Yeah.
It's bad. I always thought Rudy Gay was going to be like
pretty good
guy. Yeah.
Him and OJ Mayo, I thought were going to be. Mayo's going to be a great one coming out of
USC.
Yeah, USC, then going to I forgot the high school name. Jeez. Carmelo went to the high school too. But yeah, I thought he was going to be good. He ended up, playing injuries and became a bust.
Yeah. But this past Tuesday night, LeBron was talking about the possibility of pairing up with Davis and Anthony Davis and how amazing that would be. But there are still some things that would have to work out. And the Pelicans are below 500, and it seems like almost every night they need a level performance from Davis to win consistently. And obviously to me, Davis would be the most ideal pairing with LeBron. I mean, he's 25 at the beginning of his prime, and one of the 5 best players in the league in defenders. But Jason, how soon do you think the Lakers should go after him, or do you think they should wait to the summer when the Pelicans offer him the Supermax and them hoping he declines it?
That's a gamble if you turn him off by moving too soon either.
Yeah.
I think if the Pelicans missing the playoffs, which I think you've got a much better shot of just waiting and seeing if he'll come to you, because
they did the same thing with Paul George.
And if he comes to the Lakers, and I think Anthony Davis is better where he is now. I mean, like as a player than Paul George ever was where he was before.
Yeah. And,
so I mean, I think they should wait and try and pick him up in the summer. I think he'd want to jump on board right now. Just feel like, oh man, LeBron just carry. I think he'll want to make it on, his game too.
And Savon, you felt as though Durant will end up with the Lakers, but I mean,
I'd say that.
Yeah, you did
Early this year, maybe.
Oh, so you don't think that'll happen?
No, he's not definitely not going to the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Especially after his comments, I'm like, there's no way he's going to the Lakers.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's leaving. He's going to leave. Golden State,
he's going to leave
definitely. But I don't know where he'll fit. His ego will fit.
The Clippers, maybe.
His game will fit anyway. Yeah, the Clippers might be a possibility. But they have a lot of people to sign. They have to sign Tobias Harris. They got to sign back Marcin Gortat. They got to see if they want to sign back Patrick Beverly. They got
but they have 2 available max slots for free agents.
But I think Tobias Harris might get one of those.
Right.
But I don't know if they want to go after Kevin Durant. I think they will, but I don't know if they'll. I don't know. I don't speculate. I don't want to.
I don't think. I don't think Kevin Durant's going to want to go to the Clippers anyway.
Really?
I mean, it's still LA.
Yeah, so LA.
Oh yeah, LA team. It's like, oh, which one? Oh, well, the Clippers. It's like, oh, whatever.
I mean, he's still in California regardless, though. He's going from Golden State to,
and
he goes to.
Yeah, I mean, he if he went to the Lakers, it would be this. He would be like joining the same narrative as he did in Golden State, where somebody would be getting more credit than him. And I don't think that's something. Yeah, I think that's something he's trying to escape and just go right back into.
I think Davis just fits just perfectly for him.
Perfectly with LeBron.
Yeah, I don't think LeBron ever had a big man at that caliber and at
a stretch big
of his career. Yeah, I don't think he ever had that. Channing Frye is probably the closest he's had. Well, Chris Bosh, but Chris Bosh, they kind of like, concealed Chris to be a defensive player and then shoot every now and again. But Chris wasn't as Chris when he was with the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But good.
Yeah, and this, I mean, compared to Kawhi, would you guys, since like Davis is like at the beginning of his prime, would you guys say this is the most ideal pairing with LeBron if Kawhi decides to not go to the Lakers?
What, Davis?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think Anthony Davis perfect for LeBron. I mean, he's defensive. Like you wouldn't believe the pressure to score, especially once LeBron goes steam truck mode and just try to run everybody over.
Yeah,
like that'll really help with fatigue. Kawhi would be good, but their roles are too similar.
Yeah, I think very similar.
Diminish
two-way players.
So I think this would be. I think the Lakers know that, and if they can get it would be a question.
Yeah. And this season for the Lakers, Savon, with them being at fourth right now in a very tight West, it's they do have a chance to make a deep run. They do have that chance, and it was coming to the season. This is the first time in a long time LeBron hasn't had a secondary superstar. But do you think this is a season where he'll just he wants to ride it out with a young team, or he really just wants to maybe see how far the team can go with adding another secondary superstar? Because it's kind of like, do you want to be in wait and see mode, or do you want to go in like win now mode?
I think the narrative with the Lakers organization was we're going to be patient. And I think that's why they got a lot of 1-year deal people to try to sustain them, to see where they're at as a ball team. But I definitely think next year, next summer or 2020, we're definitely going to get a big-time player. They'll probably have to wait for Anthony Davis because the Pelicans can offer him the big deal a year early, but he's not committed to any of that, so they're probably going to wait 2020. So to get another big guy, I mean, Klay Thompson is available, Draymond Green will be available. I don't think those guys will ever leave Golden State, though. But as a team, I think LeBron knew the situation what he was going into, and he wanted a lot of veteran players, but as well as young guys that they can mold and become the chemistry of a great team. Like you said, Brandon Ingram is having some issues, spanning his game out with LeBron James, but that's always going to happen when a big name is coming in there, because before they didn't have a big name. Julius Randle was there. He wasn't a big name. Pope is still there. Lonzo came last year. He still wasn't a big-ass name. Brandon Ingram is still Brandon Ingram's team. Now it's LeBron, so there's going to be some friction there out on the court. I think they gel well together outside the court. But I think LeBron knew the decision where he was going to, and I think the narrative is still we're going to be patient and get the second guy in the free agency next year. But I think he knew he was getting into. That's why he chose LA.
Yeah. Transitioning to Sacramento, they're probably one of the best stories in the league so far. They're 16-15 and 11th in the West and 13th in offensive efficiency, but 21st in defense. And this is a team that in clutch scenarios that they've been one of the best. And Bielitsa shooting 49% from three, and they're I think 9th in strength of schedule, and De'Aaron Fox has been a breakout star. But how long they can stay in that 500 range and try to make a run at the postseason is, as they've missed it for the past 15 years, is definitely something that's a big question mark. But Jason, what have been your thoughts on this team, and how long do you think they can kind of stay in this range of being in a playoff run?
I think it's awesome to see because, I mean, like you said, the Kings have just missed the playoffs, the past 15 years?
Yeah.
That's just, the morale of that team has been, and the image too, has been absolutely terrible. But now they've got all these young guys who are solid players. I mean, they got a lot of solid guys on that team. I think it's a really, really good thing for them. I think they'll make a run at the playoffs. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they'll make a real good run at it. And I think that's going to be really good for them going forward. And I think they've got a great, solid core of guys to work with. I think Marvin Bagley III, I love that guy.
Yeah,
I think he's phenomenal. I think he's going to be really good for them going forward. But they've just got a lot of good guys on that team, and it's something for Kings fans to finally get excited about.
Exactly.
This isn't just like a manufactured, like, oh, we grabbed a couple, stars that are past their prime and we're going to make a run. This is like they've homegrown this. This is organic and it's well built, and they're really moving forward.
Yeah, and Savon, them picking up Bagley, which they had the chance to get Doncic, and I think Dave Yeager said we have the next Westbrook and Durant, which is a stretch whenever you compare a player to Durant. But what do you think of the future pairing, Savon, with Fox and Bagley, or do you think Fox and Doncic would have possibly even been better?
I think Doncic is exactly where he needs to be with the Mavericks. I don't think he would have fit well with the Atlanta Hawks either, just by his game. Because he has, we talked about this last week, he's going to be a great player, but he's too slow for the pace that either
Sacramento
the Hawks or Sacramento has. So I thought getting Bagley would be a great opportunity for him because they run fast. They're both from top tier college basketball teams. They know the spotlight well. I know they'll gel well, but it's still nagging injuries. Bagley's out, but I thought it was a good pickup for them. But Fox has been most consistent, in my opinion, than I thought he was going to be, because I knew he was a great guy in college, but I thought him transitioning to his style of play would be kind of different. But man, I don't think. I'm still not high on Doncic. I'm not. I'm just not high on it. I'm just gonna say I'm not high on him just yet. I'm not bought all the way in. That's why I think Bagley was a good, better position for them. But he's injured though.
He's averaging 20 points, Avon. He's averaging 20 points and leading this offense.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. But I'm not big on
Jason. Were you big on Doncic, or was Aiden or somebody else?
Tell me the truth, Jason.
Tell me the truth. You can agree with Doncic. It's okay.
I have to agree with Doncic. He's just so fun to watch.
He's so slow.
I know, but there's something about it. It's got like an old man game, like appeal to him. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Larry Bird, just like how methodical he is.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of because Larry Bird's my favorite all time. So that's why I kind of have to go with Doncic. He's satisfying to watch.
So you would still have Larry Bird ahead of LeBron, right, all time, Jason?
Mm-hmm. No, I never said that. I said he was close. All right. I never
said he was close.
Ahead. All right.
Because when I said LeBron was the third best of all time, you thought I was off my rocker.
I did not say that.
Who you have before LeBron James?
Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Kareem?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Six. I mean, come on, six titles, six MVPs. Pretty impressive.
I'll have to go with Hakeem over Kareem.
Ooh.
Really? Whoa.
We see. I'm not gonna get into this. This is gonna be a conversation we're not gonna get in this podcast. So I retract.
Just give me your top three real quick. Just give me your top three real quick.
Top three: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I'm a huge Shaquille O'Neal fan. Huge. And he's a beast.
Yeah. But with this Kings team, the Yeager's talked about them not having like a solid three. At the three position, would Otto Porter Jr. would that be a guy you guys think they could go after, or is there possibly another one since they're kind of lacking at the three position?
Well, I guess we talked about potential trades from Washington about John Wall and Otto Porter Jr. Mm-hmm. I thought Porter would be a good addition for them. I think he will match up well with Fox and Bagley because, one, he's a streaky shooter as well, and I love the way he plays defense. I love the goggles. I love the old school Horace Grant type feel he has. I like him as a player. I think he'll be more beneficial for them, and especially in the backcourt. I'm mostly concerned about their backcourt than their front court because Fox can finish at the rim. I think he's a top 10 guy who can finish in the rim in the NBA. But adding Otto would be a great addition just for the backcourt alone. just I don't think they should go after anybody else, but because I don't think anybody else fits into their scheme of offense better than Porter Jr. Even with all the free agencies that's going to happen in 2019, and there are a lot of them, especially with the Kings. A lot of guys they have to re-sign, but I think if they go get Porter, I think it'll be a good addition.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. With the MVP, but before we wrap up with the MVP race, we talked about Jokic in the running. Giannis has had a really good year. Davis, LeBron, Steph was out for a bit, but how he started off the season, he was definitely in that mix. Jason, who would you give the edge to? I would give it to Giannis, but just because of, I think the change with Budenholzer has really shown what, and Giannis's game growing with how they've trusted the perimeter more as a team overall. Who would you kind of give the early lead to?
I still think LeBron. I almost silly to even consider someone else than LeBron, because any team he goes to, he's going to be the most valuable player.
But is it for this season? Is the most valuable for the season?
Absolutely. Way at the bottom of the standings. They'd be neighbors with the Suns right now if it wasn't for LeBron. And there's no way they'd make the playoffs without LeBron. And they will now. Yeah. And people are expecting them to make something of a run of it too. So I think there's no question LeBron, and it's been LeBron for the past 5 seasons. They just give it to other people to make them feel better. That's really all it is.
I totally agree.
So, Savon, you would also say LeBron?
Oh, no, I'm just saying I totally agree about them just giving it to others. But right now, probably I'm getting Giannis.
Yeah.
The amount of what they said about his game, he needed to work on. He went into the summer. He passed up on working out with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, other big names. He worked out with who? Kobe Bryant. And it panned out perfect for him because he's better at the rim. He's already great at the rim. He's even better at the rim. His three-point shot is looking better, and he's better on defense too. So he's been playing lights out for Milwaukee, making them a top contender for the finals. But I think if either Davis or Giannis, but I have to give it to Giannis because I think he's the most improved player and the most valuable player right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Last thing, we talked about Golden State, and Jason, you gave the edge to OKC before the season in terms of making the finals. With the East, there's 4 really good teams: Toronto, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. When it's when all these teams are in the postseason, April, May, which team do you feel as though kind of has the highest ceiling and can get to the postseason to make a run against Golden State?
Boston. I think the Raptors. The Raptors are the Raptors, and they're going to keep being the Raptors. So not immediately. The better they do in the regular season, the more likely it is they're going to bomb in the postseason because they get everybody's hopes up and they just drop the ball. So I'm going to say Boston. I just think kind of a hard time. But sorts, which they will. I think they'll come together, and I think they're going to be an absolutely deadly team to play against. So Boston for me.
Yeah. Savon, who would you give the edge to? Because coming into the season, we felt as though Boston had the highest ceiling, and they made the changes with Marcus Smart and bringing Marcus Morris in. And they lost to Phoenix the other night, but before that, they were on a 7-game winning streak, and it's kind of been there are gonna be some players that are gonna have to be left out of the starting lineup because there's just so much offensive talent. Putting it all together can kind of combust and not work as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give it a team that no one thought about ever to compete with the Golden State Warriors. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm joking.
4-20.
Sorry. I think the team that is going to surprise a lot of people and give the Golden State Warriors a lot of fits is going to be Milwaukee Bucks. If Giannis continues to play well, Bledsoe is going to be great on the defensive side. Chris Middleton is going to be both sides. He continues to shoot well from the perimeter and from the field. I think they have enough on the bench to sustain them and to compete because a lot of these guys on the Golden State Warriors are injured. Steph Curry can't play a full season. They still have friction with Draymond Green. Draymond Green has been injured. A lot of things, they haven't been as hot as they were for the last 2 to 3 seasons starting off. So I think Milwaukee has a chance to surprise a lot of people. And I think they play toe-to-toe. Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. They definitely have success with them in a couple of the earlier matchups. So it's yeah. Well, Jason, it has been a pleasure with you being on. Thank you for being on. We're going to have you on next time to talk about our top 10 for the all time. So we'll be ready.
I gotta hear
that.
Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Williams. Oh, did I cut you off?
Nope. Anything I needed to say.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.